Thursdays in the Attic series. This is a series that Jacqie from Jacqie Crafty created, and she's letting me take along with her. Thank you so much, Jacqie. It's a really great series, and she's done a couple different things with it. So I'm going to leave her link down below, and you should definitely go and check it out. She worked her way through a series of sketches, and for this year, she has moved on to the freaky fast challenges from the Scraproom. So the Scraproom kind of started putting these out to help you get out of a rut and give you kind of like a jumping off point to create layouts. And it's turned into a monthly challenge that they put out on their Facebook group. And so there's all kinds of these recipes or whatever you want to call them. And yeah, that's what we're going to be working through. So it's really fun. I think that these are kind of different and unique. They're definitely not something I've ever worked with before. And you guys know I love sketches and I love scraplifting, and this is kind of in the same realm as that. But what they give you is the dimensions to cut your papers at. And I think occasionally they might say like you need 3 circles that are this size or whatever it is. So, but they don't really give you information on anything else. So they're not going to tell you how many embellishments to use, or to use a certain type of embellishment, or to use a certain type of title or anything like that. It's really just about cutting the papers and having the kind of the base layers of your page all set to go, and then that's your jumping off point. So once you have all of your papers cut to the sizes you need to have them cut, then you can start kind of putting them together and figuring out how you want your layout to be designed. So I kind of like that. It's like I enjoy the process of using a sketch, because the sketch is almost, for me, it's like creating in reverse. You have the picture of the finished product, and then the inspiration is what can you take from the finished product to create something new for yourself. Or at least that's kind of what I look at a sketch. I don't often follow them exactly. I kind of look for those things that really stand out to me, and then I figure out how I can use those same elements in a layout of my own. And then, even with scraplifting, you already have the finished product, and so you're almost like reverse engineering that. This is giving you the most basic elements, which is your paper, and then from there you kind of have to keep building. So I think it's really fun and definitely something different. So I'm super excited, because I think I'm going to get a lot of, fun different layouts created, and I can definitely guarantee you that every week whatever Jacqie creates and what I create are going to look nothing alike, because there's that much kind of openness to interpretation with just having different sized papers. So definitely a fun series. Go check it out, and you can kind of see her progression. So for this week, the sizes that we had to cut our papers, the first one was to start with a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. Yes, that is a pattern paper that you see as my 12 by 12. So I'm literally starting the series off by cheating, but it's my MO. It's what I do. I decided to go with pattern paper for my background, because it's what I had in my How to Kill a Kit with Style kit, and I'm using that as much as I possibly can this month. So I'm giving myself a little exception to cheat occasionally on this series. I promise I won't do it every single week. That was a bad promise, because if you guys have been following my channel, you know that I cheat a lot. So maybe I take that back. I will try my best not to cheat every week, but I definitely wanted to kind of use up the kit as much as possible, because I put it together this month with so much intention, and so I really want to get it used up. And I'm totally teasing when I say cheating, because there's no rules in scrapbooking. You guys, you do you. So the pattern paper is a 12 by 12 in the background. And then I pulled out a bunch of scraps because I'm doing Baby Got Scraps this month. And so I just pulled out some of my larger scraps that I had, and I had to cut the papers down to 8 by 10 and then 6 by 12, 3 by 12, and 1.5 by 12. And that's basically all the information you get. So once you cut your papers down to the sizes that are in the recipe, it's totally up to you to figure out how you want to move them around your page and fit them in together and create the design for your page. So it definitely, I think, is a lot more open than a sketch might be. But yeah, it's kind of fun, and it definitely is a good jumping off point, especially if you're someone who struggles with that initial kind of start to a layout. If you don't already have an idea, you've just kind of pulled some supplies out and then you're just sitting there staring at a blank paper. This is a great way to start, because for me, I definitely feel like when you make that first cut, you're sort of committing to creating the layout, and then the energy starts to flow from there. So you've got to sit down and find those patterns, and then just start cutting your sizes. And by the time you've done that, you're starting to notice how things are fitting together and where you might be placing them, and it just becomes an organic experience from there. And I don't think I really pushed myself out of the box too much with this particular design, because the patterns that I had, I just didn't want to cover them all up. That 8 by 10 piece of paper is such a large element on this layout, and I really wanted to make sure that I wasn't covering up any of the other patterns that I was using. I was sort of limited with my scraps in which papers I could actually use, because that 12 by 12, or the 12 inches long or tall, however you want to refer to it, it kind of dictated how big of paper I needed, or how big my scraps needed to be in order for me to get those sizes. And honestly, if you were doing the same thing and you wanted to follow the recipe, and you had smaller scraps, or you were using maybe a 6 by 6 paper pad, you could definitely piece patterns together and do that kind of thing. But I had already cheated once with the pattern paper background, so I didn't want to start pushing it and cheating in other areas too. So I looked for those larger scraps to make sure that I could get the right sizes. So the white paper with the writing on it, I wish that I had had a larger piece of that. I think this layout would have looked really nice with a little bit more white, but that was the only layer that I could fit the right size into. I had literally, the scrap was 1.5 by 12, and I had cut out the whole center section. So yeah, that's what I was limited to. I could have cut it horizontally as well, and it also would have been 1.5 by 12, but yeah, that's the only thing I think I wish I had had more of it, or I could have gone and found a full piece of 12 by 12 paper and cut a strip off of it. But I just really wanted to stick to those scraps. And so, yeah, I just cut everything down, kind of piece them all together in a way where I thought all of the patterns could be seen as much as possible. And then I popped down my adorable picture. I have scrapped this picture before, but I scrapped it with a whole bunch of other pictures. So I definitely wanted to have a layout where it was the only picture on the layout, of my little guy with Santa last year. And he was just snuggled right into him. It was super adorable. Actually, I can't say it's last year. It's 2 years ago now, because we're January. So this was 2021. And then I also pulled out, because there's no guidance in the challenge itself. There's no guidance on embellishments or anything like that. So I kind of wanted to stay true to my kit and stay true to the Baby Got Scraps. And so I pulled out my scrap embellishments. I don't know if that's the right word to use, because definitely the scraps refer to the paper, but I tried to pull out some sticker sheets and things where they've been used, and so it wasn't brand new or full sticker sheets or anything like that. I wanted to make sure I got a few things on there that were, maybe the last few stickers or just using up some of those supplies, some of that stash. So the big Santa on there is the very last chipboard from a chipboard sheet. I don't have any of that left, so he's kind of a scrap in that way. And I pulled out what I could. And my goal for this year is to really not overthink things. I have been making such great progress with that concept year after year. I've talked about it before on my channel about how I really enjoy those layouts that are just really super organic, and you watch people just kind of sticking things down and not necessarily following any of those more kind of conventional design rules or anything like that. And so a lot of the things that I did on this layout are very out of my wheelhouse, like sticking a giant chipboard Santa just right there in the middle of the layout without any particular kind of reason or design reason for it. But I think he's so cute and I wanted to use him up. And I'm kind of breaking out of that whole visual triangle. I do love a great, strong visual triangle, but I'm trying to give myself the grace to not need to do that on every single layout. So I cut those presents out of a piece of scrap paper, and then I use some of the sticker ones. They're kind of like a plasticky, puffy sticker. I didn't put presents anywhere else on the layout, just that one little cluster there, and a couple other little, elements and stickers where I definitely wasn't following the rule of three. I just kind of let things go and I put things down where I thought they looked good. And I love how this layout turned out. It's really cute. I love the colors. It's like that super Christmas with the red and green, just really exaggerated. And I think it turned out adorable. So that is it for me for the first layout in this series. Again, go and check out Jacqie and show her all the love. And I will be back again next week. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can leave them for me down below. And until next time, happy scrapping. Bye.
Bye. Thanks to me. She button to my channel.